Hello everyone, in this session we are going to discuss about the component of PCB. So what are the components on PCB? I'll just take you to the white screen and I'm going to explain you layer by layer. First thing, the first ever component is the core material, so which is hard in nature, which is made up of FR4C material, which is used to give the mechanical support to electronic component, and it is also a platform where all the application circuits are printed on top of it. So this is a hard material, and also it is non-conductive in nature, so this is used for the base purpose. We also call it as the core of the PCB. So we'll discuss a detailed discussion about this core. On top of this core, we will be having the copper print on top of the core as well as on bottom side. If you have a two sides PCB, so on the top and bottom, so we will be having the copper layers. So just say this is the copper of the top layer and this is the copper of bottom layer. We also call it as layer 1 and layer 2. So this is the top layer copper and this will be the bottom layer copper. So this is the basic building block of any PCB or the components. The first component is here the copper, which is used to conduct the electricity, and the second one is the core material, which is used to separate the two copper layer, that is top and bottom. It will separate the two copper layer, and once it separates the two copper layer, it is also used to give the mechanical support to the electronic components. And below that we will also have another copper layer, which is bottom copper, so it is used to do the circuit printing on bottom layer of the PCB. So these are the basic building blocks or the basic component of PCBs in two-layer PCB. So along with that, we will also be having on top of it, we will be having the paste mask, solder paste also we say, the paste mask or the solder paste top, and then in the bottom side we will be having solder paste bottom layer, so which is used for SMT components. If you have an SMT component on top and bottom, so we use solder paste for SMT components. On top of it, we will also be having the solder mask top on top of the PCB, and on bottom we will be having solder mask bottom. So these are another components of PCB. On top of solder mask top, we will be having the paste mask, that is an ink print. So not the paste mask, it will be the silk screen top on top of it, which is used for ink printing on the PCB. You might have seen the component body area and the component references will be printed on the PCB. That all comes under silk screen top. If it is a top, it will be on a top layer of the PCB. If it is bottom, so it will be on a bottom layer of the PCB. So these are the components. One is top copper, bottom copper. Copper is one of the component of PCB. Second one is core. Core is also a component of PCB. Along with that, once we done the printing, so to do the solder paste, so we use a solder paste on top and bottom if you have SMT components, and also each and every solder pads will be masked for coloring the PCB. So we use solder mask on top and bottom of the PCB, and then we go for silk screen top for ink printing. So that is also one of the component of PCB. Apart from this, we will be also having another component, and that component is called pre-preg components. So to discuss the pre-preg component, we will need to have a multi-layer concept, so we can discuss about the pre-preg. I'll just wipe out this and we will go to white screen again. I'll use the two types of PCB here. Sorry, just take another white screen. Okay, so I will take one 4-layer PCB cross section. So the first one is, so core is centered, and the second one we will be having two different cores. So okay, first then we will discuss about one core concept. So here in one core we will be having a copper layer on top of the core material, and then bottom also we will be having a copper layer on top of it. So we put the pre-preg material on top of the copper, So this will be the pre-pack material on top and the pre-pack material. So this is one of the component of PCB. On top of it again we will have a top copper, which is actually a conductor or a copper, and then on top of it we'll be having the same layers as we discussed earlier. The one thing is the paste mask or solder paste. So this will be paste mask top, and then here on the bottom side also we will be having the paste mask or the solder paste also, we can call it, both the names are same. So it is in the bottom layer, and then on top of it we will be having the solder mask top, and then on the bottom side also we will have a solder mask bottom, and then we will have a silk screen on top of it. So silk screen top, and bottom side we will be having a silk screen bottom. So these are the components. So as I told you, this is the top copper, this is the pre-pack. We'll discuss what is pre-pack, and this is the second layer, that is internal layer copper, and this is the core material. This is internal layer, second internal layer, and this is second pre-pack, and this is another copper. We'll name it, we call it as top copper, and then we will be having the pre-pack. We'll discuss the pre-pack now. So and then we will have another copper, that is internal copper. We say internal copper, that is second layer also we can say, and this is the core material, that is FR4C, and it is very hard in the nature, and this is another internal copper layer, second copper layer, or you can also say the third layer of the PCB, and then we have second pre-pack layer, and then finally we have the bottom copper layer. So one more component is added here, that is pre-pack. So as here you can see, this is the core material, which is having two application. One application is it will separate the two copper layer, that is two internal copper layers. That is one application of the copper, and the second application of the core, and the second application of the core is it will give a mechanical support to the electronic components. Similarly, the pre-pack is also the first application of the pre-pack is it will separate the top and internal layer, one or top layer or second layer of the copper, and the first application is it will separate the top and second layer, and the second application is it will bond the two copper layers. That means it will give it is the combination, it will give you the connection to the another copper layer. So we can't place the copper on copper, so we put the pre-pack material here. The pre-pack material is an adhesive, it is like a gum type of material. We'll discuss about the material in detail in the upcoming classes. So this copper we used to connect multi-layer PCB. Whenever we have the multi-layer PCB, we can use this pre-pack component. So one more thing about the pre-pack component is in a different. So we'll take a two copper here, one core material we have. So now we will take two core material. This is core 1, and this will be the second core, or 4-layer PCB I'm discussing here. So if you have a 4-layer cross section, it would look like this. So you will be having the copper on top of the core and copper on bottom of the PCB. Similarly, so we will also have another copper layer here on top of the core, second core, and another copper layer on bottom. So the total we will be having 4 different copper layers, and in between that we will be having the pre-pack material, which is used to combine the two core PCBs or two laminate core PCBs. We will discuss about what is laminate core PCB. So here we can name here as, so this is the top copper, so this is the core 1, this is second copper, this is the pre-pack 1, this is third copper, this is second core, and finally we will have bottom copper. So we can rename it. So this is the top copper, this is the top copper, and the second one is this is core 1, and the third one is this is second copper, we can say internal layer copper, and then we have only one prepreg layer, which gives the connection between the two different laminate PCBs and makes it multi-layer. And this is internal layer copper, that is second internal. And then we have the core 2, it's the 2, that is core 2, and then finally we'll have a bottom copper. So here also you can see, so the difference between these two is, here we will be having a 2 cores, that is core 1 and this is core 2, and we will be having only one prepack. But here we will be having 2 prepacks but only one core. So this is the difference between these two layers. And apart from that, the component, if you come across the component, yes, we do have the same layer, that is the paste mask on top and paste mask on the bottom, and we will be having solder mask on top and solder mask on bottom too, and then we will be having silk screen top as well as silk screen bottom. So in the bottom side also we will be having a paste mask top, then we will be having solder mask top, and then we will be having a silk screen top. So these are the components of PCB in 2 layer as well as in 4 layer also. So I just take an example for multi-layer because it covers all types of PCB components. So this is all about the components in PCB.